Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 32 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PSVR2, a show for those who want to share in our newfound enthusiasm for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, but for anyone who may have forgotten, I just want to let you know that we are part of the Crossed Players. So, if you find yourself enjoying what you hear, check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. And if you really like this show, do check out Crosscast, our weekly pod that follows the full gamut of gaming. Now, it is an honour to be joined once again by two of the most, frankly, bizarre influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. How you doing, chaps?
Hello. Good.
You are bizarre. You are
bizarrely
bizarre.
well.
You don't even like sandwiches.
What's bizarre about us? Yeah, that's
Alex
bizarre.
doesn't like sandwiches. So yeah, that's
there you go.
You don't wear trousers. So
Yet to be confirmed.
two things.
I am recording from a child's bedroom though, so do be careful.
Also quite bizarre.
My own child.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, good job. He's a heavy sleeper and doesn't mind listening to you witter on about the VR games you have not played.
He's 24. Yeah. He's fine.
24. Yeah, I forgot you're mid-40s. Well, how's it going, chaps?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's all right. Busy time in my house. People can enjoy my newly painted wall. If anyone watching on the video, any audio listeners, you're just going to have to imagine what this shade of blue is behind me now.
Yeah, what shade is it?
Blue. I don't know. I can't be more precise than that. My wife would tell you.
That's as nuanced as Laurie gets. It's blue.
It's bluish.
Blue.
It had some stupid wanky name, but I've forgotten what it was. I've got no idea. Right, what are we talking about? We've
games.
Got loads of news again. Once again, PSVR2 has some games to dispel the myth that there are no games. Sony decided to surprise us all. We're not with a state of play, but basically was a state of play in blog form. So, state of play for people that like to read. With a ton of game updates for PSVR2. So we're going to talk about those. There's a bit of other news as well, and we've been playing a few new releases as well, so that's all good. Lots of stuff to play. We've been, quite a lot of new releases, and they're not slowing down as well, so we're going to be trying to cover as many games as possible over the next few weeks, although I suspect it will take us a bit longer to get to some of the games because there are just so many of us, and there are only 3 of us. And we do work occasionally as well, and do other stuff, and as discussed, you two seem to pod most other nights of the week as well about other stuff.
Yeah. But we'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Busy times, but it was funny, wasn't it? Like before all of this massive news dump, we were kind of going, "Oh, okay, we've got October planned out. We know what we're doing," and it's all just gone out the window now because we've got way more than we thought we had, which is a nice problem to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine. Cool. Well, first up, let's talk about Red Matter 1, which had the port revealed for PSVR2 this week. So it's coming out on October the 5th. So it'll just be a few days after this podcast is available to listen to. So I'm really looking forward to this because I started Red Matter 2. I played a bit of it, probably first kind of hour or so. Really liked it. It's still on there waiting for me to get back to. But now I know I can play this. That was the thing that when I played it, it annoyed me in that time that I had because they were talking about stuff and I was like, I don't know who these characters are that they're referencing and talking about. And Alex, you obviously just played through that and just enjoyed the whole thing and loved it. But now that I can play Red Matter 1 first and then go straight into Red Matter 2 afterwards, that makes me so much more excited to play it and stuff because I hate that. I hate playing games and not understanding the context for things and just thinking like I'm missing out on something here because I don't know the full picture.
No, that's fair. But I will go back and play the first one again and think just because the second one was so good and it's still one of the games that really stands out from the PSVR2 lineup to this day. And I really have high expectations for what hopefully Vertical Robot have done with the first one. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to go back and seeing what they have done. And I know it's a slightly lower refresh rate, I think, because Red Matter 2 was at 120 Hz and it's only 90, but they did explain that's because basically it's an older game on an older coded engine and they've done as much as they can to get it to 90, which is still fine. They just couldn't quite get it to the 120, but I mean, you can understand these things. Well, I'm saying we can understand these things. We're not technical. We're not developers, so I don't understand.
No idea
these
what you're
things.
talking about. To be honest,
But,
I can't really tell the difference between these 90 and 120 reprojection. Lost on me,
But still looking forward to it. Is the main thing.
Yeah, and had revamped controls, which you would hope so, because the PSVR1 controls, I imagine, must have been shocking, because everything was with that one. So yeah, and variated rendering, so it should look nice and crisp, whatever you're looking at. 4K textures. And the main exciting thing, I suppose, is that it's a free update for people that own the first one on PSVR1. So yeah, anyone that had that, you get this one for free. So that's nice. Which kind of answers a lot of the criticism when people said, oh, there's no backwards compatibility. The more of the games that get ported over, and if they can have free updates, or if it's a big kind of rework of it and then they charge a few quid, you can rebuild your old PSVR1 library. It's taken a while, obviously, but more and more of these games are sort of filling in the gaps and helping people to rebuild their libraries. So although it's not backwards compatible, it's getting there in time in its own way anyway, in that kind of way that Sony like to go around in their convoluted way of achieving things.
Yeah, most of those upgrades seem to be either free or a very reasonable price, don't they? So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and when you say if you're getting an upgraded version of it, I feel like it's a bit churlish to kind of criticise them to pay a few pounds to upgrade it. If you were just getting a like for like exact port, then you think that should be a kind of free backwards compatibility essentially. But if you are getting an upgraded version of it, then it seems fair to think, well, they've gone back and they've done extra work on this game now, so they deserve to be paid for that.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I'm tempted to try Red Matter, because obviously I didn't play it. You guys played the sequel, so looking forward to trying the first one and then maybe jumping into Red Matter 2 if it clicks.
I think you'd like it.
Yeah, and you platinumed it, didn't you, Alex?
I did.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah, you really liked it. Cool. Okay, well, we can look forward to hearing Ben's thoughts maybe on that one in a few weeks' time. Next up, we had a port revealed for Angry Birds VR, which is looking very, very good. Now, we've actually been playing this. We can't talk about it. We're still under embargo for another week, so we'll have our thoughts on it in the next episode. But yeah, so this is a PSVR1 game. It's coming over to PSVR2. Yeah, it's great. I mean, the trailer for it looks really good, doesn't it? It's you watch the trailer, you think that just looks really smart, really great idea. Translates really well into VR. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, obviously, my thinking is, when I watch the trailer, if the feeling of the mobile game somehow translates into three-dimensional space, then that's almost good enough. So yeah, watch this space.
And this one isn't a free upgrade, it's a $9.99 upgrade from the PSVR. One version, I'm not sure how that would translate into pounds, whether it be about £8 maybe, £8-9. But there is an upgrade fee, it isn't a free upgrade.
Yeah, I'm just reading the press release. They've got 104 levels, but if it's anything like the mobile version, or the original mobile game, some of the levels take seconds to play, don't they? You fire off the shot and think, oh, that's it, that was on, move on. So there needs to be. But it's also got a level builder as well, so you can build your own levels and you can play the community's levels. So it's kind of like Angry Birds Mario Maker type thing. And apparently on the press release it's saying there's 20,000 custom levels to play online, so offering near infinite replayability. So if anyone out there's played 20,000, all 20,000 of them, hats off to you. But yeah, so yeah, people can listen to our thoughts on that one next week. Now, there's been some other big news coming on in the world of VR. There was the Meta Connect show this week, which Alex, I guess you tuned into. Did you watch bits of it?
I've seen bits of it. I didn't see a lot, but I've seen the kind of features and some of the stuff coming out, some of the games.
Your head's been turned, hasn't it, by the Quest 3?
It's not been turned, because I'm pretty sure when we spoke about this when it was announced back on the episode that we thought, I did say I would potentially get one of these.
Okay, so it had already been turned. It was already well.
Right, so I think PSVR2 turned my head to VR. Like, I think that's maybe a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I am tempted to pick up one of these. I'm not going to lie. See, and I mean, what sells me on something more than mixed reality Lego? Like, is that any more Alex than you can get, really?
Well,
like,
that and Game Pass.
and Game Pass.
Yeah.
And Game Pass.
That's like
so,
pure
it's
Alex.
interesting, isn't it? The whole kind of Xbox tie-ins they've got and stuff and that functionality, because that's it's that Xbox ecosystem they're building out. That could be a very, if you can play that in a mobile kind of untethered headset, you can play your Xbox games in VR. Well, not in VR, but on your kind of cinema screen on that headset. It becomes quite a compelling case.
That was the first time that I've really gone,
And I think
maybe.
particularly if you
When
do
I saw
that in
that.
the kind of mixed reality setting as well, so it's
Yeah.
maybe not then as you are shut away in the headset, you're kind of in the room playing it like you would be, and you can still be present even though you're sitting there looking like a cunt with your headset on. But
Drop the C-bomb again! Oh my God.
sorry,
Is someone
sorry,
putting you up to this? Is someone putting you up to this?
sorry. I'll put a pound in the jar.
leave it in
Ben's
the
child is
podcast.
asleep next to him. He's going to be hearing you. So, he's going to be hearing you. Unbelievable.
So yeah, but I mean they didn't actually, in terms of content wise, like they showed off the headsets. Like they didn't really show many games. Like there wasn't. I think a lot of people were expecting they were holding games back for this, and didn't really feel like they did.
No, they had the Ghostbusters, didn't they? They had so Stranger Things was one of the things they showed at this show, and that's obviously Stranger Things is coming to PSVR2 as well. So it's essentially a trailer for a PSVR2 game, and that's you play as Vecna, which I suppose spoilers for Stranger Things for anyone that hasn't seen it. That's if you haven't seen Stranger Things and you don't want anything spoiled, go just fast forward a couple of minutes. Vecna is like the main baddie of Series 4, and you get to play as him in the game. So it looks quite cool. You can play as the baddie, and you can see there's like moments from the series that they've recreated in VR. So for anyone that's into Stranger Things, which I imagine the overlap of people that are into their VR and that like Stranger Things is probably quite high. I think this will probably do quite well. It's another nice looking trailer there. But yeah, the MetaConnect thing, I think Quest 3 does look good, and I think that mixed reality stuff especially, you wonder how much attention Sony are playing to it and think, okay, are we going to need to up our game now, because now that there is an untethered headset available in the market that can be much more comparable on its performance level, then kind of the argument for getting a PSVR 2 versus a Quest kind of swings back in Quest's favour almost, because you think, well, they've got every game, it would seem, that is available on Quest comes to PSVR 2 anyway, and then there's some that don't come to PSVR 2, like Assassin's Creed that we know about. We don't know that's coming to PSVR 2 yet, and I don't need to buy a PS5. I don't need to be tethered to it. I can play it in any room of my house. So you can think, well, maybe I'll get that. And I think it's the price. Is it a bit more expensive? Is it $599 or is it $499?
No, it's $479.
$479. Okay, so it's still cheaper than PSVR 2. So yeah, I think if you're on the fence about which one to buy, I think Sony are going to need to give people a reason. I think you could, against Quest 2, it was quite an easier case to make for why you should put up with that cable attaching you to the PS5.
I'm sure that's packed till you're getting a free game with it as well at the minute, as Guard Wrath of something.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it will prompt Sony to think, okay, we need to cut the price on this to be more competitive with Quest 3 now. The market's moved on. You know, we had that early adopter first year. We've got those people in. Now we need to cut the price to be more competitive, or just increase the value. They don't necessarily need to cut the price, but increase the value, like we've been saying for quite a few weeks now. Why is there not a collection of VR games on one of the PS Plus tiers? It doesn't even need to be on Essential. It can be in that PS Plus collection. There should be half a dozen or so VR games. Because as a PS Plus extra subscriber, I kind of resent the fact there's no VR games in there. I'm like, look, why is my kind of choices about what PlayStation games I play not reflected in that library of games?
I've also that. I think. Oh, sorry, I
was just going to say, I think they are. They're not only competing against Quest, but I think the main thing they need to do is convert PS5 owners to PSVR2 adopters, rather than trying to compete with Quest to an extent. I think that's their market. Like PS5s are selling like hotcakes. What are you doing with PS Plus? What are you doing with your first party games to make those PS5 owners then drop the same amount of money again to get PSVR 2, rather than what is Meta doing over there. Like it's almost there's two different things they're competing with, and the first one is an easier problem to solve, I think.
And
the internal one.
It almost gives them an opportunity again to go here, like, this is what the PSVR2 can do, because the Quest coming out, and yeah, it's more comparable in the performance, it's higher performance than it was, but it's still not the technical specs that the PSVR2 has, because it has the grunt of the PS5 behind it, it has the eye tracking, it can do full V2 rendering. Like, your Quest 3 still, you're probably the biggest thing that people are not complaining about, but the biggest thing is maybe a little bit disappointed about is the Quest 3 doesn't have eye tracking. And that's probably the opportunity now that PSVR2 has to get there and go, well, this has this is what makes it better than this is, and kind of list out those things and go and like really showcase them. And I feel like we need to go and showcase those features and see this is the difference that they really make.
That's the thing. If eye tracking is that important, then they need to show it, because at the moment it's cool whenever it happens in a game. I'm like, ha! But it's not. It wouldn't be the difference between. That's not the deal breaker, is it?
No.
So
but it's probably the combination of the eye tracking and the full V3 rendered, and that is the one, and that's the one they probably need to go and say, well, this is what it can do.
You can really see the difference it makes when you watch someone else. Whenever someone comes around and they put the headset on to play GT7 just to have a go in VR, you watch them play it on the screen, and you can just see, God, this is really blurry, because you can obviously only what they're looking at is in focus. So when you're someone in the room watching them and you're looking at on the TV screen, like most of the screen is blurry, and then it's just the bit wherever they're looking at is usually kind of on the road ahead of them on the racing line or something. That bit's in focus, then the rest of it's blurry. So you can just really observe the difference it makes when you see someone else playing it like that. But yeah, and I mean, you'd say that the thing Sony can have going for it that others can't is that we've got the big name games that you can't get elsewhere. But when Quest has Assassin's Creed and PlayStation 2, PS5 doesn't, PSVR2 doesn't, then that's kind of blows that argument out of the water as well. So yeah, I think Sony do need to get some big name brands. I'm surprised there's no Spider-Man tie-in or anything, because that would be just kind of no-brainer. They need to just add VR modes in some capacity to their big first-party franchises. So those hardcore users that you're talking about, Alex, the people that are really into the ecosystem, who will buy all those first-party games, want to experience an extra aspect to those first-party games that they can only do in VR.
Yeah,
I remember when that Tomb Raider, the second one, came out, where there was that Croft Mansion bit that you could play in VR. You could play it in non-VR as well, but it had this VR separate mode from the main game where you could just explore Croft Mansion in VR, and that's like the perfect thing. I think you just give me a full AAA action adventure game, a typical kind of Sony thing, but they just have a little side bit of content that just plays in VR. That's maybe like a free update. If you buy the game, you can have this extra mode in VR for free, just to give it that extra layer of, like, if you have these games you don't have VR, you'd forever be seeing them in the menu thinking, oh God, I'm really missing out by not being able to access that content.
Yeah, completely agree.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
I know it's rare, but yeah, I do.
Wow.
Cool. Well, so rather than going to the topic this week, we're going to talk about all of the non-state of play blog posts, and rather than talking about what we've been playing and then get back to the topic, we'll just go straight into the state of play, essentially, blog day that they had. So they just casually dropped out a tweet on a Thursday to say, oh yeah, we're going to just hand the blog over to PSVR2 today, so you're going to just get a load of updates on PSVR2 games starting now. And they did. They just, I think it was
15-minute warning.
Yeah, six different games, and then there was a seventh one they snuck in some extra footage of later on. But we'll cover them all now. So first off, I think the first one they announced was Among Us VR coming to PSVR2. And they were making it out like we've just confirmed it for PSVR2. And you seem to think, and I seem to think as well, that we'd already seen this. I'm sure that they must have forgotten. Yeah, I'm sure they've forgotten that they've already announced it. They were making a big deal, like, it's coming to PSVR2. And everyone was like, yeah guys, we know, you said it already. But yeah.
I thought it was
check out our new announcement trailer. I was like, you can't have an announcement trailer when you've already announced it. It's just
it's
a new announcement trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just trying to be an imposter.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, nice. It was a bit sus, wasn't it?
It was.
So I think this would be really good. I think this would translate really well to VR. Have you played much Among Us? I know we played all as a group.
More than I care to mention, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Oh, okay. Is your kids made you play then?
Kids, and then during lockdown and stuff, we were kind of playing it as a community quite a lot, and I never really enjoyed it. I think it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah. Okay, you find out who's really good at lying and just casually lying. I was always terrible at it because people say he's not, and I'm like, I'm not the imposter. It's like, clearly you fucking are. Yeah, I'm terrible.
I can imagine a few people that were quite good at this game.
Don't.
But yeah, the kids love it, and yeah, my son regularly asks, "Is it out yet? Have we got a date for it yet?" So he's going to be happy when it comes out.
Yeah, I think they've it's not a complete. Yeah, they've
This
taken
is
the
Among Us
original.
lamp, by the way. I don't see that. There we go. So
Lovely.
Has he got a lamp of dance done?
So they've taken the original level and I think they've VR'd it, but there's not. They've kind of made some changes to make it work better in VR and stuff. And I'm guessing that the activities you do and stuff whilst you're the team that's not the imposter, you have to kind of make busy work, don't you? So they've changed some of those things. So I'm sure that'll be like good kind of your traditional VR stuff where you have to just press buttons and stuff and pull levers and do shit in VR. So I'm sure that'll be fun.
I think it would be better than the base version of Among Us. I think, we've got your chat built in. I wonder if that'll be kind of proximity based as well, so you can kind of hear people like creeping up behind you. I don't know. It'd be quite funny.
Well, hopefully, you'll be screwed if they drop you into a lobby with random people you don't know and you have to talk to them, Ben.
I'll be straight out.
Yeah. It's like, you're not very good at the game. But hopefully we can get a game amongst us.
Hey.
I didn't mean to do that. But we can get a game with us. And it only costs £10 as well. So that is pretty cheap. Obviously, it's a free-to-play game, isn't it, normally? So it's not as cheap as the non-VR version. But as VR games go, it's pretty cheap. And it looks like a good social experience. They should put this on PS Plus if they've got any sense. It would be a great PS Plus game.
Definitely. Again. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Cool. So that was Among Us. That was the first game they showed. And then I think the next up was Journey to Foundation. Now, I am a huge fan of the Foundation, the TV show. Yeah, I want to just grab the books now and read those, although I think they're very different. But and this looks great. It's this is the same world. You can recognise it's just from the trailer. I recognise the things that they're talking about, the character names and the planets and the abilities and stuff that they've got. So you have some mind control power. They call them metallics or something. You have this mind control power that you can do, and you're a spy type person that's got to do stuff. It looks quite like Hubris Red Matter style gameplay, where you're kind of that first person, a bit shootery, a bit explory, there was the same, very similar to Hubris, where there was some cabling above your head that you had to use to sort of climb above and stuff. And I think Call of the Mountains got a bit of that, where you're on vines as well. It's like a classic bit of VR kind of exploring and just climbing up inside spaceships and stuff. So this looks really good though. They made a good point about in the blog post about it's got haptic feedback on the headset, so when you're sort of crashing, you're in a fight, you're getting a little like bashed around in the head, which everyone wants to do, I'm sure. And then they make a point as well about the eye tracking, and I guess they kind of have to do this when there's a port that's kind of, because this is a multi-platform game. This is going to be on Quest as well, PC VR as well. So I guess when it's coming and they're featuring on the blog, they have to make a big show and dance about the PlayStation exclusive features like the eye tracking, as we were saying. So you can make your conversation choices and stuff. You can the menus and stuff you can control with eye tracking, which is always good when it works. So I think hopefully they implement it well and it doesn't end up like Firewall, where it's just a bit of a mess. You try and look at stuff and it just looks the opposite way. It ends up giving me a headache very quickly. But yeah, this looks good. Have you guys watched the trailers for this?
Yeah, it looks good. I've also started watching the series as well, based on your recommendation, Laurie. So that makes me all the more interested in this one. It's good.
Yeah, the TV series is good. It's a real kind of big budget spectacle. It's a bit. I think some of the episodes, it feels like it should be like all these things on streaming. It should be about 2 or 3 episodes fewer in the series. It just feels like it goes on a little bit too long. They need to just be a bit more heavy-handed with the editing, I think. But you can say that about most streaming stuff these days. But yeah, I just really like the whole kind of it's a very sweeping, epic kind of sci-fi. So if you like proper big spectacle sci-fi, you get that from this.
Mm.
And another October game. So what was this, 26th?
Yeah, October 26th. Yeah, I was pleased by this because we've seen this one a couple of times. But yeah, I was surprised it was this soon, especially because there's already so much stuff. Yeah, people at Sony need to think maybe we should be spreading out these releases, but maybe they've got plenty of stuff already lined up for next year as well, so they can just put all the stuff out. But yeah, man, we keep talking about it just for a console a platform that's less than a year old. There are so many games out on it that are worth playing.
There's 145 games on the store.
There you go. Wow, 145. Yeah, but this looks good, and if it plays like Hubris or Red Matter, and it has the world of Foundation, I'm going to be well up for playing this when it comes out. So yep, sign me up for this one.
Cool.
Next up, we had Heroes of Forever. Now this is reveal. So this, I think, was the first game that we didn't already know about. So maybe that's why it wasn't a proper state of play presentation, because people would have been like, "There's all the new reveals. Where's the Astro?" But yeah, so they were mainly updates on existing games we already knew about, apart from this one, which was a reveal, I think. And this looks like a kind of, they announced it as a multi-dimensional arcade cover shooter. So I think they have some of the team that originally worked on Time Crisis, mentioned in the blog, that are part of this. But it's not just, I think it's not just Time Crisis. They're trying to, there's different arcades from different eras and stuff that have all been played homage to on this. So maybe a bit like Pixel Ripped in that respect as well.
It's quite cool because I was quite, and when you look at the studio that's making it, it's quite a surprise because it was the studio that made Hot Shot Racing. So you don't expect them to come out. Obviously, that was an arcade racer, but you're not necessarily expecting an arcade shooter from that studio. But I did think this looked nice, aesthetic, nice concept. The only problem, my criticism, is how many of these games are we going to get? Because there does feel like this kind of arcade shooter is the kind of go-to what we're getting in a lot of games now, but they're still fun.
They need to be good to stand out, don't they?
But I think that Hot Shots Racing pedigree is quite a good sign as well, because that was a good game, and that was a really good homage to kind of mid-90s arcade racers. This has got that same sort of low poly art style as that. It looks clean. I don't know, it might just have enough about it to push it above all the other kind of Time Crisis clones and
the Time Crisis homage, like the character models look identical, and like the font and where it's flashing up saying "Take cover."
The logo as well is exactly the same.
I mean, this out of all of them, this is probably the one that I sort of didn't really do anything for me. I thought, maybe it's just because we've played a few games like this now, these kind of cover shooters, and I don't know. There was a bit too much going on. The trailer didn't really grab me, but I keep an interest. Keep an eye on it. But yeah. Still though, another new game reveal. And it's just coming next year, so that could be any point. Next up was Tin Hearts, which we have seen. It's obviously been out on a non-VR version of it, and that's coming. We still don't have a release date. They didn't reveal a release date for it, but they did reveal that there is a demo coming on the 2nd of November. So it's a free demo coming. I think it's 6 levels from the game. So it's quite a chunky, big demo. I think there's 50 levels in the full release, and in this demo there'll be 60 of them. So you're getting a good kind of chunk of the game to be able to play. And it looks really good. And this isn't just a port of the edition, the normal version, the non-VR version. They've rebuilt it. They've made it again for it. And obviously I think the levels are designed in the same puzzles and stuff, but it's not just it's not just a simple port. It's been rebuilt for VR.
This is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. Like, I played this at EGX last year, the 2D version.
Okay.
And really liked it. I liked the feel of it. And I've a bit like RE4, I've resisted playing the 2D version of this because I want to play the VR version. So yeah, this is one that's been right up in my list. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping it might be playable at EGX this year, so hopefully we might get to play it there in VR. I kind of hope Wired might have that available. But we'll see. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So if anyone that hasn't seen this trailer or don't know what it's about, it's basically like Lemmings, where you're these little toy soldiers, and it's in someone's house, like in their living room. Basically, you have to. These little toy soldiers are marching in the whatever direction you set them in, I guess. And you've got to get them all to their goal, and they have to navigate around the environments So like in the trailer that you show them, like marching over the shelves and onto a drum and bouncing off of that onto the top of the wardrobe and stuff. And it's just they kind of make their way around, and you have to. Yeah, they're quite kind of intricate puzzle game. So yeah, I'm all for games that aren't just kind of shooting stuff in VR. So yeah, you can reach in, you can pick up these little toy soldiers and set them in the direction you want to go. So yeah, it looks really good. It's all very kind of mechanical things. It's a bit like kind of Clockwork, the last Clockwinder in a way. Kind of, it's all you build these mechanical machines essentially, and you see what happens and you see the result of it all.
Yeah, I thought you were going to reference Clockwork Knight, a Sega Saturn game there, and I was like, Laurie's about to go up in my estimations. But
no, I've not really talking about. I have never played a Sega Saturn.
Down in your estimation.
Who has?
Yeah, well, a rare console to find. But yeah, no, this looks really good. We still don't know when it's coming out, but like I say the demo's coming out on November the 2nd, so everyone has got no excuse not to try this one out for yourself when it comes. And yeah, it sounds like it'll be a nice chunky demo as well to get to grips with. So yeah, that's coming. And next up, we had Tiger Blade, which was again another game that we'd already seen before, and that got a release date of November the 17th. So Alex's little release date calendar has been updated with Tiger Blade now in November.
Yep.
Awesome. And this looks very much like a Ben game. This looks very Pistol Whip-esque type thing.
Yeah.
What do they call it? They call it, there's a mechanic I'm trying to find the name of what they call it. Slash and dash. That's it. They call it slash and dash. So you do your slash with your sword and then you dash to the next enemy. Yeah.
Don't forget to wash your hands when you slash and dash.
Very important. Very important. But it looks like it's got a very kind of very kind of kinetic. I think it seems like you're doing it in time. Maybe it's just the trailer's been cut to music, but maybe it seems like you're doing the stuff in time with the music and stuff. It looks like it's very, very. You get in the rhythm of it, and just that tempo of it all. That's the real key thing with it and stuff. So it's, it looks like what I imagine Pistol Whip is like to play, with that kind of very satisfying,
stylized violence. Basically,
you get in the rhythm.
Yeah,
it's just I love the aesthetic to it. Like it just looks really nice. Like the UI Ben, the UI is
perfect. It looks like Persona 5 a little bit. Some of the stuff that was splashing up on the screen. It was kind of like a Pistol Whip / Persona 5, which ticks a lot of boxes. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I hope it plays as good as it looks, because it looks special.
So I've actually realised we're getting confused in it, because the Heroes of Forever is inspired by Time Crisis. Clearly is very kind of Time Crisis influence in its design, but it's actually this game is the one that has the there are some of the team members on the team working it or something. I don't know, but again, this on the blog post they mentioned this has got a kind of Time Crisis influence as well. So yeah, because it's got as well as the sword, there are some shooty bits as well.
Yeah, that just looks very, very just violent and fun. Yeah. Those two things go together.
It also made me laugh in the blog post where it said, based on real Korean locations, you'll find yourself pursued and hunted through a variety of interior and exterior areas, including docks, markets, and alleys. It's like, brilliant, yeah. Inspired by real locations, we've got an alleyway. Do you know what we're talking about? Do you know what an alleyway is, Alex? What do you call them in Scotland?
A lane.
A what?
A lane.
Who?
Elaine. Look, we don't need to know what you got up to with Elaine in an alleyway. Just tell me what you call alleyways.
Elaine, where's my bottle?
It's on that bin.
This bin will do.
Well, Alex, you'll be glad to know they've designed these alleyways to be as immersive as possible. It just literally says that. I'm like, okay, this is... Yeah. But yeah, Tiger Blade.
Music's good as well. I was impressed with the music in the trailer.
That is important.
Bodes well.
And hopefully we will have the developers joining us at some point over the coming weeks to talk about it.
Nice. Nice. It does look like a really nice one as well, hopefully. And Sony they're putting a bit of marketing oomph behind this one as well. So I feel like it's one that Sony thinks that, a bit like with Synapse, maybe they feel like we've got something good on our hands here. So we'll give this one a bit more of a marketing platform. So yeah, and then the final game they had in this collection of blog post was The Foglands, which also got a release date for October the 31st. So coming in October as well, because there weren't enough games to play in October. Sony thought, you know what? If people are not going to be ready for it to play, we better put another game out in October. So on Halloween, it's not really a spooky game, is it? I wouldn't say.
It's a lot better. There's a lot better to it.
But it's not like horror-y. It's more just kind of... Well, it's a kind of first-person shooter game, also roguelike. So, yeah, you're going down... This is set in this kind of Wild West town, and you have to go down into some mines and shoot monsters and zombies and things. And you've got some power given to you that if you die, you can be summoned back to life, which is very convenient and video gamey. So it means it's a roguelike. And, yeah, and also the big thing they revealed is that it has a non-VR mode on it as well. Which will be interesting. I'm not sure, if it have a huge non-VR player base following it. We'll see, but it'll be interesting to see if it does stand up and attract following in a non-VR mode. If people want to play it, I guess that'll be the mark of it. How good a game actually is if people will play it in non-VR as well.
Again, this one definitely says Ben to me. It's a Ben game.
You reckon?
Cards in it, it's roguelike.
It's got cards. It does have decks of cards. Yeah, you see deck of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm less sold on this, but yeah, I'd be tempted to try it out. I do love a card.
And again, the developers will be joining us for this one in a couple of weeks. They are definitely joining us.
Wow.
Yeah, again, it's getting quite big. It has been at a state of play. It's now got its own blog post. It's another one that Sony obviously I've got a bit of faith in, and I want to play. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, because obviously Synapse is another roguelike shooter. You've got to see how is it going to stand out, and also the setting is completely different to Synapse. But in terms of gameplay wise, would be interesting to see how it distinguishes itself. So we shall see. Won't be long to wait till we find out. So yeah, that was all of it. So we had 6 games featured, 6 blog posts, all covered off, a variety of reveals, new release dates and stuff. And then there was final after it all summed up. They seemed to put out an advert on Twitter, just for PSVR2. And it was a new advert just talking about some of the experiences you get, and it features all of the big names, the Horizons and GT7s. But in that, there was also footage for Project Wingman, which I think was that. I'm sure we'd seen something of that before, but it definitely seemed like we was getting a more deeper look in that as well. So there was kind of a secret 7th gameplay they snuck into the whole day yesterday. So have you seen that one there, Alex?
Yeah, it looks really good. Can't imagine Ben will have too much fun with it in terms of motion sickness. But it looks very good. And it did say expected 2023, so it does look like another game that we're hopefully getting this year. But it looks like a kind of game that we need, another one that kind of fits that, not quite the GT7 mold, because it's not driving, obviously, but more that, in that kind of sports like type of space. No, it's not sport, but you know what I mean, the kind of vehicle type of space.
Yeah, it just reminds me of Dan when he had on PSVR1. He played, I think, the Iron Man game and also that Star Wars Squadrons.
Rogue Squadron, wasn't it?
Yeah, and played them both for like 10 minutes or half hour or whatever, and then just instantly just wanted to be sick and throw up, which this game looks like as well. You're just going to be doing like loops in the air and just barrel rolling, and you're in your very fast plane. It's just going to be like, oh my god. I can't imagine. It's going to have a strong VR stomach, as you would probably in real life, to do those sorts of things in a plane, I guess.
Definitely. Overall, though, I thought it was quite a cool trailer, and it was nice to see Synapse in there.
Yeah.
As part of their marketing push.
Yeah,
very
more
well
of
deserved.
that. I should be pushing that. It was a good advert. I mean, there's all the big hitters there, looking good.
And Firewall.
And Firewall, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Green Hell as well, which was surprising given how that's launched. But I guess it stands out, quite, walking around the jungle.
But great to see them pushing it a little bit. Not exactly going all out, but a bit of marketing.
Yeah, it does feel like this was the week or yesterday was the day that they remembered that PSVR2 is a thing. There are lots of games coming out of it. Still, people seem to be like, if it's not a first-party IP they recognise, if it's not Astro, they don't count it as a game, which is a shame, because as we know, there's loads of stuff out there. But I think it's still Sony are going to keep getting that criticism until they have the first party IP or the big hitters or some of the first party studios coming up with something new for it, which is just kind of how it is. I think they're just going to have to live with that. That's not going to change until they do reveal something.
It's going to be an interesting 6-9 months in PlayStation space now with Mr. Ryan moving on. You see how things maybe do change up a little bit of what they do show before he goes, and
yeah, of course, there's other big news this week.
Yeah.
Not strictly VR related, but head of Sony, Jim Ryan, retiring after some 30 odd years at the company, but only about 3 or 4 years at the helm, so relatively short tenure, I guess. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what a successor. Maybe they'll just come in and be like, nah, VR, shit, can it, get rid of it. Which, with Sony, it wouldn't be surprising. Someone did that with the Vita back in the day. Like, nah, shit, get rid of it. So, we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen though. Feels like from some of the things that they've said that it's part of the sort of bigger plans. When you see like, what are your plans to compete with, Quest and Apple Vision and stuff, and it just some of the things that they come out and say, it just seems like that they've got bigger plans for it, or there's more that they'll reveal later.
They will.
We live in hope.
Cool. Right. Well, let's get on to what we have been playing. Who'd like to go first?
I go first.
Oh, we'll go on then, Alex. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Pixel Ripped 1995.
Oh, you love a bit of Pixel Ripped, don't you?
Well, obviously, I played Right, let's get all these years right.
78.
1978.
78. I remember
yes.
that.
And I liked it, but I didn't love it. Because I felt it was a bit too much. It was all a bit too samey. And I haven't played a lot of this yet, just for the time, and we did get codes for this, and just the time of the codes got, and when we're recording, and I haven't had a lot of time to play it yet. But immediately, it's given me a much better feel. I don't know if it's just because of the time period that's more set around more of a homage to like the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, that kind of time. Some of the games you're playing feels a little bit like kind of Zelda, like a little bit Mario, like you're not just feeling like you're in the same bit of like a reskinned level of the same thing over and over again. It feels a wee bit different. It feels like it's got a wee bit more heart, a wee bit more humour. And I can see me enjoying this one a lot better. I wouldn't say, given it's the older game and it's getting ported, and it's again a free port to PSVR2 if you've got the PSVR1 game.
Nice.
I wouldn't say there's anything noticeably downgraded from 78, given that's the new game. I would say it looks just as good, if not better. Gameplay feels really good. I think some of it, you can tell it's the older game in terms of some of the setup. Like it's some of the models are like flat instead of 3D and things like that. But the actual resolution and the crispness of it's very good. And yeah, this for me is much better than 78. And I know 95 and 89 are more highly regarded and were better reviewed. But I can just from the hour or so that I've played with this so far, it's for me a much better game. And I will enjoy this.
I think the 95 setting immediately appeals more to me. The idea you're playing those games that are in that kind of 90s era. Just, that's much more. I'd have much more nostalgia for that to relive with this.
I suppose just the one thing to point out, whereas they did have licensed stuff in 78, because it was the first one they properly did with Atari and licensed it with Atari games, these are more homages to the games. They're not, but you can tell what it's supposed to be.
They're not going to get Mega Drive or Sega and Nintendo
You've got
games,
a thing that looks like it's supposed to be Sonic and something that's like it's supposed to be Mario and things like that. You can,
it's Mario.
You can tell, like, yes, it has. It's Mario and Sonic. It's good. Very good. Very, very. I think for people that have been looking forward to the port for this, I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
Cool. All right, well, maybe you can tell us more about that when you've played it a bit more in a few more weeks' time. Now, next up is a game that we've all been playing, I believe, that's Waltz of the Wizard. Yeah. And I really like this one.
Very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminds me of... It's very like Cosmonius High, and I go on about Cosmonius High quite a lot, I am aware. But it's that same, here's a classroom, just play. Just interact with things, work out what they do, have fun. Just play with it and tinker and see what you can do. And it's that kind of VR, that I really like that about VR. And it also kind of, if you was to get the Room VR mixed with Cosmonious High, because it's kind of a bit more like the setting from the room, and there's a bit more mystery solving to it as well. But it's that same just inherently playfulness. Like, here is a thing that it's just fun to pick up and shoot. Or here is some spells. Throw these things in a cauldron, see what happens. And you've got magic abilities now, which is very much like that. It's kind of almost exactly what Cosmonious High plays like, where you just give yourself those powers and you can interact with the environment with them. And in this, it has that great... I love how the world reacts really well. Like, you have that one that's like the puppeteer one, and you have a spell which is puppeteer, and you can control objects in the room, and they all dance around and you yank at them and they all respond brilliantly well, and you just cause absolute chaos very quickly.
Or the different ones when you can start, you feel like it's almost like Harry Potter VR to a certain extent, because you do feel like a wizard and you start to just control things around the room and fill them all about and start spinning them and up and down, and it
is that Fantasia type scenario that they talk about, isn't it? In the press release or in the trailers and stuff. It feels like that, just because you are like that puppeteer of controlling everything in the room. And in the room there's things on you start the game and you're in the top of this tower in a castle essentially, and there's a big table in front of you with your cauldron on it, and then some objects that you can throw in the cauldron to make different spells, and you create the spells and you can do stuff with them. And then there's other stuff on the table as well. There's little sort of snow globe things that you can go into if you play the right combination of notes on a xylophone next to them. There's a little crossbow that you can shoot targets with. There's a lightsaber, which is totally random. I don't know what that's doing there, but it's like,
it fires the apples at you?
Yeah, but I quite like that. There's like a little mini game, and there's a little talking skull on the table which can guide you. It's a little bit of a tutorial guide that tells you what to do and things, and just tell you if you're doing a good job with the lightsaber mini games and stuff. And you can walk around this room and explore, and there's a series of puzzle clues that you can solve, that one thing leads you to another. So it's a bit like the room where you're trying to interact with things and lift them up and inspect them, and you find hidden clues, and then that lead you to the next one. I spend a lot of time just in the tower, and then after a while of just playing around and interacting with things, the door opened and I can go and explore other parts of the castle.
Yeah, because essentially, like, the tower and then the courtyard and then the third area are all tutorials to the actual game. And then when you get to the game, it's like it's almost like, is that a rogue? It's not
it's
really,
like
but it's like dungeon crawler
kind of.
Yeah.
Which I kind of, it was a bit jarring to go from this kind of whimsical tutorial where you're just pissing about basically and having fun, to then like like I say enemy, but it's like that, they don't really do anything, do they? They're really slow.
I don't know. I'd call it a tutorial, because when it first released, it was just that tower room, and it first came out. And there's reviews out there, and the reviews of it are just based on it being a game. And it's weird, because if you read these reviews, you think that the developers should really get to take this down and replace it with a new review, because it's like a completely different game. It's got the same name, but I think the game was released and it was just interacting with things in the tower, and then they've just tried to evolve it and expand it over time. So you've got those initial areas, and then they've tried to feel like, right, okay, let's try and create a kind of more persistent or like longer lasting game that gives a bit more longevity to it, with this dungeon crawler type aspect to it.
I suppose that's a good point. Like, even if you were just doing without the dungeon crawler bit, there's enough there to have like a lot of enjoyment out of the game. Like,
it's a few hours, I think.
Yeah, you could almost do it like an Untitled Goose Game, where you've got a checklist of things to do, and there's like those stickers on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Where you can kind of complete a bunch of different feats. Not feat, feel too. And the other thing that I thought was very cool, which I haven't seen in a game, is the voice commands.
Yeah.
So you can basically summon, give me, you just literally say out loud, give me fire, or give me fireball, or whatever it is, and that puts that spell in your hand.
Or bring something to me, or
bring this to me.
Or just create a box, and it magically creates a box. So it's kind of that Scribble style gameplay. But also, it's not just things. You can say, make this object bouncy, or make me huge, or make me tiny. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I'm going to try that. And the reaction, it just it does make you tiny in the level, or you say make me huge, and it makes the level actually tiny. And so it's really satisfying. it reacts to. Obviously, it can't do everything. You can't just say anything and it will do it. But it gives you some prompts, and you think, I'll play around with these and try and experiment, and it responds really well. And it just really made me smile when the spells worked.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It just little things that just make you smile about the game, and even the skull giving his kind of instructions and stuff. I felt like towards the end of that tutorial area, he kind of shut up a little bit, and it was almost quite nice having him as a kind of guiding hand. That it would have been good when you got through to like that area with the enemies in, to still have him saying, "This is why you're here." You know, there's a bit of exposition when you first get to that area, and then there's like over the tannoy, you hear these bad guys talking.
The tannoy in the old in the castle, bing bong.
Yeah,
and look out for them.
And
monsters.
They're like, "Can the human hear me? Is the human in that room?" Yes. And then this big bad sort of warns you that you're going to die, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
and that the tone changed there for me. Suddenly, it was just like it's not quite as much fun. Things got serious, which is just, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's just how they kind of evolved it and added to it, and it's more iterative. And now it doesn't really. They've been left with something that is great that's expanded, but it's for someone new coming in it as we are. It's like, okay, what is this game? Because I come at it. It's an experience. It's a game. It's more kind of a VR experience where you can just play around and have fun with it and stuff. And then I kind of saw that Dungeon Crawler bit as the bit they've tacked on to try and make it like just to introduce that longevity to it. But I'm quite happy just to play the sort of sandbox element of it. Play the little mini golf bit that they've got, just muck around and just do things,
fireworks and everything. It's like
mess about with the spells and see what happens. And there's just because there's so many little jokes hidden in it. Like there's the thing hidden down the well. I don't know if you found that and stuff. Just stuff like that just makes you laugh. And some of even at the very start when you go into the worlds in the xylophone into the snow globe worlds, and you think you're about to get attacked by a monster, and then it surprises you. I won't say what it is. I won't spoil a surprise, but you think you're going to get attacked by something. So it's just little stuff like that. It's just they've clearly just built in lots of jokes and silliness and just surprises for people to be surprised and have fun with. And I bet if you could probably spend hours and hours and hours and keep discovering things. And there must be like a Reddit of someone's put on there of just all the stuff that they've found and people just swapping things that they've discovered on there.
Yeah, I guess I think if you are playing for that, it's great. I think if you want any direction, it felt a little bit directionless when it got into like the proper game. I didn't feel ready to play the proper game either, because like, am I supposed to remember these 10 spells or whatever I've learned in the tutorial? Am I supposed to remember all of this stuff? So yeah, great. Like mechanically, really looks good, sounds good. Funny writing. It's just a little bit of the actual experience, the tailored experience of getting from A to B. I did feel that was a little bit kind of right. What am I supposed to be doing now? Kind of thing. Is this the real game? But yeah, very very kind of fun just to play around in, and sometimes that's all you need.
And it did highlight the very different levels of maturity between myself and Laurie. So when you got to the position where you can use your hands and draw pictures and stuff on the screen, Laurie sent a nice screenshot that just said CBVR and like cool, nice neon writing, and I sent a screenshot of a big penis. And why wouldn't you just draw a big penis and be able to throw it about? I mean, that's just fun, is it not?
Fair enough.
And I started doing some like graffiti. I was going to show you both up and do something really detailed and 3-dimensional, and then it just disappeared. So I gave up. So.
I believe it.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, that's you have that spell. You can create stuff infinite. You're creating those kind of 3D objects. It's almost like you've got a 3D printer hand, and then you draw out a shape, and then you can pick up that shape and you can swing it around. So if you can draw a sword, then you can just use it as a sword. It's just fun to play like that. I do think that kind of the dungeon mode bit is that's not the main game for me. That's something they've added on if you want to have something to just keep playing forever. I think people should be seeing it as the just that
wizard creativity sandbox game.
Yeah, just playing around with stuff and just doing spells and stuff. And maybe they'll come back and you can see a future version of this game where they make where it's a more story driven experience that is a bit more of an adventure. That would be awesome. I'd love that. But yeah, for now, this for me just seems more of a smaller thing. I don't know how much it costs. Do you either of you know how much It's cost.
Gonna check.
So it comes out on the 3rd of October, so I think it'll be out by the time people get a chance to listen to this. Yeah.
$19.99 is the cost. I think it's a free upgrade though, if you had it on PSVR1.
Nice. I'm just looking on the PSN store as well. It has co-op as well, which would be interesting. Cool. So anyway, what's also the Wizard? I like it. I think it's a good fun. As long as people go into it knowing what to expect, I think they'd be quite pleased with this one.
Yeah,
and it has a few nice, those wow moments that we look for in VR. With some of the spells and the speaking bit, and the stuff happening. Just being able to say the spells and just stuff happening. I think if they made a Harry Potter game in VR, you could make it just like this, and it would be very popular.
Yes, just make sure you have your mic unmuted before you start playing it. Otherwise, you get very frustrated, like I did. Make me tall. Doesn't work.
No. Okay. So that's also the Wizard. Any other thoughts on that one before we move on?
Nope.
No, good. Okay, well, the other game that I have been playing this week is another port of a PSVR1 game, and it's Paper Beast. Paper Beast is a game that sees you... Gosh, how to describe it even? You are in a Journey-esque type world, I guess. It starts off in a totally bizarre... You're in this kind of karaoke simulation type thing, and then the simulation breaks down, and you're in this virtual world where it's like the kind of the hidden programming behind the simulation, I guess, and it's all creatures that are just conjured out of the Matrix, basically. It's just roaming over this land that's all these kind of sand dunes, and these creatures are kind of these paper beasts are elaborate, huge, giant kind of origami type-esque creatures, and there's lots of different ones, and they all behave differently, and they all are very kind of animalistic and all have a lot of character and personality, and you essentially you're trying to navigate through this world, and you need to use these paper beasts to help you through them in some way. Some of them you can kind of grab and get them to do what you want, and other ones you have to kind of coax to where you get to. Just to give an example, there's one that's like a big giant kind of mop head type thing, just made out of bits of newspaper, it seems, and you have to kind of pick it up, and if you realize that it has the power to kind of sweep away the sand, so you can use it to create a path through this tunnel that you need to get through or to clear away. And then there's other sort of weird worm-like organisms that's got two heads, and one of them sucks up sand and the other one spits it up, so you have to kind of use it to build up the sand so you can get over some obstacle. It's very it's all very abstract. Nothing is explained. You kind of just have to interact with these creatures and find your way through the levels. And it's very, it's artistically gorgeous. It's striking to look at. It's lovely to listen to, and it's, I guess you could call it a puzzler, I suppose, because you are just trying to puzzle your way through. But it's more you're trying to build a connection with these paper beasts to try and get them to help you traverse through this world, and it feels like they want you to help them. It seems like they want you to. It seems like something's happened and this world's been corrupted, and you need to try and help them. And I haven't finished yet, so I can't spoil the ending. I don't know the ending for myself, but that's just the sense I get from it. But it's really it's a real wow game for me. It's like this is just you've just been dropped into this virtual world, this oasis. It feels like you've been sucked into the sort of code behind the scenes, and it's materialized in this world with these creatures that live in it, and they're going to need your help. So yeah,
sold. Yeah. Looks good. I can't wait to play this. It's awesome. 3 to 4 hours to finish as well, apparently, so that's a nice length.
Yeah, I think in one sitting I got about half of the way through it. So yeah, I didn't want to stop playing it. I just wanted to keep going, but I just got too tired, had to go to bed. But it's very confident in its design. The way it starts is you will just be like, what the fuck have I pressed the wrong button here? This can't be right. And you kind of have to, even just like working out how to interact with stuff, it's a bit kind of obtuse in a way because it doesn't explain anything. You have to just kind of work it out and interact with things. But if you pay attention to what the world's telling you pick up on these things, so it really rewards you just being observant, watching these creatures, and they go about their routines, and they do all have so much personality. Like some of them are scared of other ones, some of them are a bit kind of a nuisance, and they just go around like bothering the other ones and annoying them. You just think, stop being such a jerk, leave him alone, come here. You just sort of grab him and sort of pull him off and stuff, and you think, oh god, what have I done letting loose this thing on this nice ecosystem? You feel like you're kind of intruding in a nature documentary, and all these things are kind of like, oh god, what have I done? Has it gone wrong because of me? But it's you just the design of the game is beautiful though. You can if you look at the landscape, you can see the path that it wants you to take and stuff, and you think, okay, how am I going to get that way? How can I do it? And it's very dramatic as well. There's you come into a bend, and there's like the whole world, it seems, is kind of collapsing, and just there's big storms going on. It's all very. I'm not sure I understand like everything in it. It's one of those games that you think, what is going on here? Is this
like Journey almost?
Yeah,
I guess.
It really reminds. Yeah, it reminds me of that. But yeah, imagine Journey in VR. God, that's a game I want to play.
Yeah,
but it's the paper beast of the stars in it. It's a bit like what's the game with Trico in it? The
Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian. Yeah, thank you. A bit like that as well, where you're coaxing Trico and you can't really control him, and you think, God, this game is really hard because I just want to press the button to tell him to go there. But the whole point of it is you can't just order an animal to do what you want it to do. You have to kind of encourage it and coax it, and it has to want to do it. And this game nails that gameplay. So if you played The Last Guardian and you hated everything to do with Trico, then you may not like this game. But if you want to try and get dropped into it feels like a real virtual world in a way that it's like a living, breathing world with creatures that live in it, that when I'm not in the world, they're still existing without me, and they're probably still pottering around now waiting for me to get back. Because that's the kind of magic it conjures.
I'm really looking forward to trying this. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it does feel like, from everything you've said about it, it feels like one of those special ones.
Yeah. And I think it's so for people that had it on PSVR, it's I think a £4 upgrade, or I think whatever, £4 or £5 upgrade, and I think there's a discount at the moment as well for a few weeks. So if you're quick, you can get it 20% discount. I think for PS Plus people. But I think that also not a lot of money either way. So.
And I think that also includes the people, like, they gave it away as a Days of Play game or something at some point. So if you picked it up as that version, you still can upgrade it for the reduced fee.
Yes, which is great. So hopefully people claim that. I claimed it. I didn't have a PSVR back at the time before. I'll claim it just in case I do get a PSVR one day.
Same here.
Yeah. And
just like Astro Bot's Rescue Mission, and that's in there claimed for one day, hopefully getting an upgrade. But I very much recommend it. I think unless it's all going to go wrong in the final couple of hours, from what I've played already, I've just loved it. It's a game that really just, we talked earlier in the show about, it's another game like this, or it's another game that's a shooter, or another roguelike type thing, or this is not like nothing else I've ever played, really. I'm trying to say it's a bit like Journey, but it's not really. It's a bit like Last Guardian, but it's not really. This is something that's new, and again, being in VR just really enhances it, I feel like. I think you can play this in non-VR. I think it did come out as a non-VR version. Yeah, I don't think it was a non-VR game at first. I think this version has brought a non-VR version too. So I think this has been the first non-VR release with this release now.
Okay, so they've ported it to non-VR as well. Well, if anyone listening to the show that doesn't have VR, don't quite know why you do that. But yeah, I'd play this in non-VR as well. But in VR, it's just, like I say, there's that feeling of being transported into you're like an alien world that's you're kind of existing in, and you're like a visitor in. Yeah, it feels special. Cool. Well, that was Paper Beast. And I think that probably does it for this show. If anyone would like to support us... Sorry, go on. I just want to very quickly correct myself before we finish up. I don't think Waltz the Wizard is a free upgrade, because this is the first time the full version of the game has been available. The PSVR1 version, as Laurie said, was a much smaller version. I don't know whether there is an upgrade fee, but I was just checking through the press releases and stuff. There's no confirmation, so I retract my statement that it's a free upgrade. As far as I'm aware, it's not a free upgrade.
It's
Okay.
too late, Alex. People have already commented.
Yeah,
They won't get to this bit. Too late. Damage is done.
probably.
I apologise.
Well, on that sour note, I don't know why, but if you would like to support us, even with well-timed corrections there, thanks, Alex. But at the very least, you can at least give this podcast a sub, please. We do try and be right most of the time. And if you could give us a review too, that's just would be absolutely bloody amazing. You can follow us on Twitter at CrossButtonVR and at the Crossplayers. And if you really want to show the love, you can do so via patreon.com/thecrossplayers. And for £2 a month, you can help us to produce the show and gain entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group. And welcome to Games with T, who joined our WhatsApp group today. And I'm sorry.
So sorry. Sorry about Dan.
Yeah. It's all right. Everyone will get used to soon.
Yeah.
So everyone, thanks again for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, please tell all your family and friends all about us. And if you can't join our Patreon or you don't want to join our Patreon, at the very least you should drop into our Discord and say hi, because there are often lots of game nights being organised and stuff, and lots of people have joined it and said that it's great to find a group of people that are just really into playing VR. And there's just loads of people on there. It's very active, it's very busy, so it's always someone to reach out to play walkabout mini golf with, that's for sure.
We did have a lovely walkabout mini golf game last Saturday.
Yeah.
Phil only lost by 30 shots.
Just only 30 shots, so he's getting
Phil
there.
2, sorry. Phil 1 and Phil 2 was 30 shots behind.
I know, yeah. I'm sure everyone realised that you meant that. Yeah, we know that
Yeah,
Phil
it
2.
was never going to be Phil 1. That was that far behind.
We know
Always
Phil
going
1's
to be
good at
first.
games, and Phil 2 is Phil 2.
Phil 2.
You're right, Ben. You're about to say something.
No, it's just dawned on me that this episode is longer than yesterday's Crosscast for the first time ever.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's some kind of
Well,
record.
I'm trying to wrap it up. You two keep interrupting.
Sorry.
Not me, I haven't said anything for half an hour.
Right, okay, I've been your host, Laurie. These have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then, it's goodbye.